Hey guys, I'm Ava Kuhle, the owner and designer of Epaulet, and your host for the Styleforum Sessions podcast. I am here with Timothy Grindle, the co-owner of Canoe Club, and Chase Brown, the head of operations of Canoe Club. This podcast is coordinated by www.styleforum.net, which is the most comprehensive online community dedicated to menswear fashion, style, and discussion. Thanks for joining us,
Of
Timothy and
course.
Chase.
Yeah, thank you for having
Yeah.
us.
Excellent. How's it going?
Oh, it's good. It's
Yeah,
good. We're a day away from Friday here in Boulder.
We got it's a busy month for us. So we got a lot of new product coming in, and we've got graduation weekends. We got Memorial Day. We're busy. So, it's good.
Yeah, a lot of shipments coming in.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I've been like keeping tabs of everything that you're doing on the Styleforum thread and your social media, and the product that you're receiving is just like absolutely mind blowing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I think this fall, or rather this spring, we're introducing a handful of new brands, some like kind of like last minute situations, but it's been really fun, and I think our community has responded really strongly to the new brands, but just kind of like becoming like solidified within the space.
Yeah.
And people know what to come to us for,
Yeah, we I mean, I feel like we, just year after year, like it just keeps becoming like more like what we always wanted it to be. Like it just keeps more and more fully formed. So
yeah, I got my garden rolling. It's just about time to really hit gardening. So I'm stoked on that. I got my strawberry plants are popping off right now. It's about ready to put a bunch of stuff outside. So I'm really like, that's truthfully the only thing I think about outside of work now. So just gardening.
Just the strawberries popping off.
Strawberries are right now in particular, my strawberries are like very happy, very, very happy. Everything else is still catching up, and I haven't put anything else outside, but the strawberries are happy right now. But I'll have it all. Peppers, tomatoes, whatever you can buy in a seed packet from Home Depot, I've got.
I mean, this is next level. I have a backyard, and I'm proud that I have like 5 succulents that are still alive, which would be absolutely alive with no human intervention whatsoever. So I'm curious of your gardening skills.
Well, where you are, you could grow anything. I've got a fascination with like fruit and stuff, and without going on too long about it, California is the spot. So
I know that's somehow making me feel even more ashamed that I put zero effort into it. Like I have a succulent that kind of like, it looks like a big thing of coral, and like every month I look at it, I'm like, wow, like this thing is still alive. I'm doing a great job, as if I've done anything.
Yeah.
The never-ending sun and like the rainiest season in the history of Southern California.
Yeah, I heard California got really y'all have been getting rained on for months, right?
It was wild. Yeah.
Huh. I don't know if you listen to our podcast, but this is you don't have to feel bad, because I'm not a supporter of plants and stuff like this. And we do this all the time where he talks his shit on, and I hate it. So I wouldn't grow anything, and if in my dream world I would have a concrete backyard. So
yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. You and I.
Yeah, we're fine. Yeah.
Okay. So, Canoe Club. Canoe Club is a awesome retail shop in Boulder, Colorado, and was founded in 2017. So, could you guys quickly tell us the origin story of how the business was conceived and started?
Yeah, so it was started by me and my business partner Bob Lamy. So I ran a store in Chicago for a long time, and he was a customer of mine at that store. And then we had done some other like little things through other businesses he was involved in, and it was just like a function of he'd come into shop and we got along really well, and then we'd chat, and then he'd call me and ask me questions about stuff, or ask me like customer questions, or we would just kind of chit chat. He founded and sold the company Shopbop, so I was really fascinated by like his journey there, because that's a big deal in fashion. And we just kind of became friends like that. So like it was just a function of being around each other, chit chatting. He was in Chicago a lot, and he stayed around the corner from the store, so we'd come by and we'd end up talking for 3-4 hours at work and just kind of chopping it up. And it was just like kind of this long relationship that was almost formed inadvertently. And then one day he was in Boulder and he felt like there wasn't a place to shop, and he said, "Hey, would you ever consider moving?" And I said, "Where?" And he told me, and I wasn't sure where it was on a map, but I was like, yeah, it sounds I really like the way he viewed fashion in general, and the way he viewed men's clothing. in the market at the time. And it was just like a good opportunity where it was like, I really wanted a little bit more freedom with what I was doing. Cause I did all the elements. I did wholesale side, I did sales, I did buying, I did all this stuff, but I wasn't really in like full control. And I just felt like there was a lot more out there to be offered. And I think that the market really lacked eclecticism at the time. It was kind of like everyone had pigeonholed themselves into like these different like categories, like workwear or tailoring or, you know, streetwear or whatever it was. And then it was just like, but I liked a little of all that stuff and he did too. And it was like, I just feel like there's more that can happen, you know, with like opening up your mind to it a little bit. And then we came out to Boulder, and the nice thing was that like we didn't really have to like compete with, there was no competition here. So,
Right.
you know, because we're in, you know, in maybe a less like fashion, at least like traditionally fashion space, but we knew it was going to be online. And it was like, well, we're not going to have any troubles, you know, building out the brand list because we don't have any competition here. It's kind of desolate for fashion specifically. So it ended up being like this, just kind of like everything that we did was just super organic. We wanted to do a store because we cared about it and we loved it. It ended up working out that like the location sort of was a big advantage to us. And then it's been huge ever since because this city has grown a ton. It's like, it's a little bit of a bubble, but it's like, you know, it's a tech hub. It's you know, it's this kind of like cool, like hippie enclave, and but it's grown into this vastly different thing, but it's
and I mean 30 minutes from Denver too. So
yeah,
for people
yeah.
who haven't been out this way, I think, and I thought this for a long time too, but Denver and Boulder, I mean, I live in Denver and I commute 34 minutes usually, but having Denver also a major metropolitan city in the center of the country has been, I think, super fruitful for the shop. But yeah, Boulder in particular.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty simple. Like at the end of the day, we really wanted to be advocates for people you know, cool people doing cool things, and and so everything beyond that has been really organic, and just that we, you know, he and I were really aligned on what we wanted to do, and it's kind of like the you know, the general like, you know, goals of the business haven't really changed that much since we started. It's just gotten to grow and we get to do cooler and cooler things. So
yeah.
Right.
you know,
So you were in Chicago, and then you specifically moved to Boulder to open Canoe Club.
that's right. Yep.
And was there ever consideration to open this business in Chicago instead?
Nope. No. I
No?
mean, it was like originally just because it was truly he was outside of our now store, and he was
Yeah.
like, it's available to rent. They're moving out. They don't really have a new person just yet. If you're interested, should I do this? And it was just sort of, it was like, it was that spur of the moment. And then he asked me, he's like, do you think you could get X, Y, or Z brand? And I said, yeah, probably. I don't see any reason why. Made a couple phone calls, and then that was pretty much that. I mean, it was truly like this entire thing was conceived. It was, I think, like when I look back, it was conceived over a lot of long conversations about like, you know, more esoteric stuff inside of fashion. And then, but the actual conception for like the business was fast. And it's just, luckily that's kind of how we've operated since we started, and it works well for us. So it's, I don't want to say impulsive, but impulsive.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Conversing with customers and fostering community is really baked into the DNA of Canoe Club. So much so that you guys have a logo, which is like a literal pinky swear.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, which is I'm definitely one of the first things that I ever noticed. Like your graphic presentation is super strong, and
Thank you.
it's a really interesting like illustration, because the second I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is a
Thank
really
you.
like
Yeah.
it's a very like friendly and inviting thing, which in the world of, you know, higher end men's fashion is not typically how things are offered. You
Yeah.
know?
100%. I mean, that was that like, I'll let him speak to the graphic because it's kind
Yeah.
I think it has kind of an interesting story to it. But like, as far as like that part of it, like that's all like super intentional for us. Like we
Yeah.
really wanted to be community minded to begin with. You know, like we were kind of talking about at the beginning, I don't know if before we started, was about like hardcore and stuff like that, like these like kind of punk communities and stuff. I'm very inspired, but like I said, I really hope that those continue, and I think they're super important for younger people. And it was really important to me and to him, and those kind of things were really what I wanted to put forth in like that. I know this is a niche interest, and I know that, and I'm originally from Indiana, you know, which is when we talk about like desolation for fashion, there's nothing there. So, you know, it was early forums and like weird internet things, anything I could grab onto to like try to have a conversation about fashion and connect with people on fashion. It was so difficult back then. And we really wanted to put that forward initially of like, this is open for everyone. This is, we're, in my mind, we're supporting like artists and family businesses and stuff like this. And I think for a long time, fashion got away. It was so cold and it was presented in this really cold way. And it just didn't feel like it was fostering community. And I think that was like one of the coolest things about fashion in the communities I was involved in growing up, was like it was pretty welcoming inside of a niche interest. And we really wanted to make sure that that's how it felt. We don't merchandise where everything's super cold and untouchable and museum like. We want it to feel like really chill, and like just like a place where you can really like have a conversation and learn and not feel like intimidated to ask the question. Because I still feel like there's places I go in, New York and LA, and it's just like it's really beautiful, everything's pretty in here, but I just don't feel like, it's not that, this is like a goofy thing to say, but like when I used to work at Starbucks, and they were one of the first to ever talk about like your third place. You know what I mean? These other places you went besides home and work. And like I kind of had that in mind with the sort of like, we wanted it to be a place where people could come and have a drink and hang out and chat and like learn about stuff and just be like,
Homies.
Yeah, like just friends. You know what I mean? Like I just felt like that was such an important aspect to fashion, that at least the way I learned about it and got into it, that I wanted to make sure that it was like something we did on purpose with this business.
Yeah.
And then I'll let you talk about them.
Oh yeah, and then graphic wise, thank you for saying that about the pinky swear. That
he designed it. I don't know if we said that, but
yeah. Thank you. So yeah, I mean the pinky was built off of our employees and one of the partners and his wife, who does all of our photo, and she's our creative director and art director, etc., etc. I just took a photo of them doing an actual pinky swear, and then just kind of I matched it to kind of meet like the style of the lettering, which I don't know if I've ever said this on Styleforum, or I think I have, but I got the job working at Canoe Club through various connections in Boulder and in clothing and specifically footwear. But I got the job at Canoe Club because I was a sign painter on the side, and I painted the original signage here, connected with Timothy, talking about clothes, boots, what have you. And so I actually built the Canoe Club like logo type off of like my own casual alphabet, from painting signs and painting, like for instance, like the brand list on the side of the shop. I like took all those letters, created a font from it, and then that is like where Canoe Club comes from. So there's technically is a font in the Canoe Club lettering style, if you will. But yeah, thank you for the kind words about that. That's my favorite graphic I've ever made, far and away.
It's really good. It's
Thank
really
you.
like it is a standout graphic. I noticed it like the very first time I ever saw you guys on Styleforum.
Yeah,
And
yeah, with
yeah,
the little avatar.
yeah, it's very cool. I think it encapsulates the idea of community really well. And it's like it's so important these days, I think, as a retailer to like be able to foster this attitude, because we are otherwise so disconnected.
Yeah, yeah.
I was running a store since 2008, and back then, like I would actually, blogs were a huge thing, or even
Of
like
course.
GQ magazines, and
Yeah.
like if got in a cool new product, I could send it to like High Snobiety
Yeah.
and Hypebeast and things like this, or even like GQ.com would like publish this stuff, and then it would just drive traffic to your business. But none of these are really possible venues these days. You can spend a fortune on Instagram ads,
Yeah.
or as we were discussing before, you can get a Facebook ad and then appeal to literally the lowest common denominator of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's tough, like you don't
It's a
really
pay to play nightmare now. It's not
Yes.
as organic and like you're talking about, well, more like connection based like it used to be, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. And I think like it's going to be, for all of us in the scene, it's going to be such a necessary thing to like make it through, whatever degree of economic downturn happens
Sure. Yeah.
in the next years. Like I had to live through the 2008 one. I started a business right before like
Beautiful. Yeah.
the Bear Stearns bank failure. And I remember like the summer before the fall of 2008, it was still like very much like crazy, like peak fashion time. It was, the Bathing Ape store having
Yeah.
Bach and very like celebrity driven stuff. And then after that, the slate got wiped clean. And then you saw a lot of, more of the kind of like artisanal and workwear and things which had, they were not cheap, but they carried a strong value that you could convince people of. And there was like a vibrant community around that. So if you bought into an engineered garments jacket, you would have like kind of a circle of friends who would all be also into this brand. And you could feel like a part of something versus just purchasing some like soulless, ridiculous garment, worn by whoever.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
that
100%.
connection that you're describing is what I think we've been sort of trying to like, because that era allowed for that a little bit more. Like it's
Yeah.
now like it's starting to, it's like it fractured again, you know what I mean? Because of like social media and everything, I think, you know, individualism became such the, you know, like that was at the forefront, so it fractured again, you know what I mean? And it became even smaller and smaller and smaller communities, and that's tough. But we've always been trying to like kind of capture that kind of like, you know, 2008 2010, like, you know, engineered, like you buy a piece and now you're part of something bigger, and that felt really like, it felt like you're not just buying clothing, you bought a ticket into this different world. And I really care about that stuff, so we're still trying to like make people feel that way.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so well, I guess we spoke about this a little bit before, but you know, although you ship all over the world, your team and your store is based in Boulder. Um, do you feel that like this really sets you apart from other retailers who might be based more in like New York and Los Angeles? Do you think that being in Boulder gives you a really like unique perspective?
Well, I
Um,
think that like it helps, like, I mean, I think it helps in a couple ways. One of the ways, like I said, was just the fact that like, because we don't have competition here, you know, we're able to pursue brands that might, you know, like it's a function of like if a store that carried like Kapital for it, you know, there's strict rules. They're ancient rules, but they're strict. And it's like if a store, I mean, you probably know, a store is, you know, on the other side of town, they're still going to be like, I'm sorry, they've had an account longer. Even if I'm looking to do 6x the business they're doing, like they don't care. You know what I mean? It's just just an old school mentality, which I sort of respect. At the same time, it can be frustrating. Here we don't have that. We don't really have to like have that be like the decision maker for us of like, oh, we wanted that brand but we couldn't get it, you know what I mean? We don't really have to like do that, so we get to like truly curate what we think is best, not just what we think will work.
yeah,
On top of it, like it is like, I think it's a little nice sometimes, even though I really still love like New York and LA and stuff. It's like we're not like drawn into the trends as much as I think you're going to be if you're into there. And I know, and like I love trends and everything, but like it can be distracting, you know what I mean, when you're there, because it's like it's definitely like you're living in a little bit of a bubble. Like you see certain things happen so often, you're like, oh, that's the thing. And I think that like being too early on something can be just as bad as being too late. So in some ways I think that helps. And I don't know, I don't it's
I think Boulder's open to a lot of this, that
yeah.
and you know, I like to think that we're introducing a lot of folks to this very specific niche, you know. But we've had a really good response. So to answer the question, it's like LA, New York, all of that is super established. You know, you can know you can go to those cities and get what you need to get. But here, it formerly didn't really exist in the way we're doing it. So
We have a less jaded customer, certainly.
yeah, I
But
think
they're
that's really good way of
open-minded
putting
at the
it.
same time. Like I think that like, you know, when I first came here, when we were deciding to do the business and we were, you know, I just came to visit and we looked around, I was like, I mean, there's, you know, there's great coffee, there was great food, there was great, like the taste level was there. So it was just a function of like, oh, it's just not being offered here. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? At the end of the day, like they're not seeing the same things. But if they value, I think that if you value the things you do with like fine dining or coffee or, you know, whatever it is, if you, the same values are a lot of what you sell when you sell this type of clothing. So I knew that like if we were able to tell the stories, if we were able to do our thing, we wouldn't have any problem connecting with the community. And luckily it happened pretty quickly. Plus, type of stuff we have, it's kind of an if you build it they'll come sort of thing, you know what I mean? So people started but as we grew, people started hearing about us, and they come from Denver and all over the place to kind of, you know, check out what we're doing. So yeah, it's been,
yeah,
it's
hard. I've never for Boulder, but I, you know, like just my impression of it is that it would be a place that would be like welcoming and friendly.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
you like
definitely.
Minnesota, kind of like one of the predictable like major cities. So yeah, even like when I first started seeing your brand list, I was like, oh, this is cool. Wow, this is like a Colorado that carries Kapital. You know, not
Yeah.
a maybe a, you know, a retailer in New York City who you might walk in and want to touch a jacket, and then they'll be like, why are you touching that?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
buying that? No, don't touch it then.
I think
Yeah.
like the mellow nature of where we're at also hopefully comes through in like the type of models we use, because they're all from here and they're like friends with us, and the type of, you know, just the way we shoot things and the way we kind of do business and stuff. Like, so I think the way we carry ourselves is honestly probably a lot informed by being located where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like your visual presentations and your pictures are great.
Thank you.
And they're great, like just not even on like the surface level, you know, because a lot of stores will like they'll either use employees or they'll say, oh, we don't want to get professional models. We want to get, you know, normal people. They do get good looking normal people. but yours like just like everything comes together. It's very accessible, but it's also in a really clean and professional way. Like you show the clothes, like your lookbooks are awesome. I really,
Thank you.
I've always enjoyed looking at them because they strike this balance. You know, sometimes you get a lookbook and things are like just way too like serious, you know,
Yeah.
way too be artistic. You can't really see the clothes, and you know, everyone thinks they're Helmut Newton, and that's
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other extreme is that you just threw an outfit on some guy and he's just standing in front of a wall and just staring at you like he's potentially either, you know, dead to the world or a serial killer.
No one, I mean, we operate.
But
Yeah.
you, as a, so you guys
No,
are these, and your lookbooks are just phenomenal. Like they're
thank you.
relaxed. I think people can see themselves, you know, maybe even like seeing like a pretty difficult outfit. It's easy to see, all right, well, these are, you know, kind of wild patchwork jeans with a bunch of colors and textures, but actually, you know, this could go with something that I own already. This could be me.
Yeah. You know, I mean, just to kind of like further like what we were talking about with the community at the forefront, I never wanted this to be unapproachable. I hate that. I think and listen, I love like a Helmut Newton. I think some of that, and like, and if you're him, you know what you're doing. Great. You know what I'm talking about? Like if you really like, if you got it like that and that's your vision, I think that comes through. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's if we tried to, I think a lot of times what was happening in fashion, what still happens in fashion specifically, is people try to copy that stuff because they see it up top and they're like, that's what the consumer wants. And it's like, I think it is, but the only reason that stuff works is because that's them doing their authentic self.
Yeah.
This is us doing our authentic self. I never want it to feel phony. I never want us to push ourselves to a place where we're just trying to be like something we've seen before. We want it to just be us. I mean, a lot of the times, a lot of the challenges being a multi-brand retailer is when you go to do a lookbook or something, it's like, let's make sure we're putting like our point of view forward,
Yeah.
which is tough. You know what I mean? Like in a lot of cases, I feel like that's an actual challenge of making sure you're putting your vision up front and not the designer, because we look at like what the designer does and you're like, okay, so we'll do it like them, and it's like, no, that's not the point. If not, then buy it from the designer directly. You know what I mean? In a lot of cases anymore with DTC, you can do that. So I want it to, like, that's the thing with community, the way we shoot things, I want people to come to us because we're doing something different, and like that's its own reward if you follow like what we're doing. So even, and then, you know, I wouldn't say there's no models that we use that we're not like friends with. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not just like we don't pull random people.
They're like
It's,
our homies.
yeah. We make sure that they like connect with the ethos of what we're doing too. So
Yeah.
because I think it's the only way you can get it to come through correctly off of a picture, because sometimes it's just so cold so much of the time, and I want there to be like a warmth and an authenticity to what we're doing.
Your brand list is really diverse and fascinating. Tell us three of the brands that everybody should be watching right now. Three brands that you guys carry, or stuff that you have coming in.
Well, I'm gonna plug one that I'm personally really stoked on that we've had a really good response from. Would be this brand called Frism Works. They're out of South Korea. Been around for a minute, but no retailers here in the US. We wrote them, they got back, and they let us write immediately. We got a shipment in, sold a good amount of it, and we're due for a restock here, hopefully like tomorrow or Monday. But it's just been awesome. It's been like a fresh take. It's like, you know, definitely like military repro, lots of olives and navies and blacks, and just everything is nice and big, wide silhouettes, kind of like proportion based. But yeah, out of South Korea, and South Korea's kind of it right now, I feel. I'll let Timothy, you know, mention a couple others, but that would be where my head would go immediately. But we have a couple other.
Yeah, I mean, we have it should be in shortly this brand Aura Lee that I really love for the first time. They've been around for a little bit, but not a crazy long time, and I really I liked what they were doing for a long time. This sort of like, you know, almost like Phoebe Philo approach, but like still Japanese, and I really like that, like it's very material focused, and
textures.
yeah, and dye, and like you know, natural dyes and everything. So it still feels like very like organic and comfortable and like usable, even though it has this like high fashion tip to it.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that brand. It's a brand I've been collecting myself for a little while now. So yeah.
So do you guys have a third brand that you want to mention?
Yeah. So I mean, like I think that even though it's like we've had it for a long time, we sell a lot of Orslo, and it's a brand I've been working with for like eons now. And I still think like season to season, they're still able to take these like, you know, very interesting approaches to traditional workwear, and it's like it's the reason we sell the most of it is because of like it's so wearable,
really good.
But it doesn't ever feel stale, and it's comfortable, and it's just got this really like, vintage feeling to it, and
Yeah.
I think that's why it does so well for us, and it's a brand that I can't imagine us ever not carrying. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's important to our DNA, and it just keeps getting better, and we keep doing cool collabs and everything.
Yeah, I mean, like years ago, when it was mostly brick and mortar and online was still very much like building, we had in the store, we have like a small kind of like rack of jeans and pants and bottoms, and for a couple years we had, you can name it, we had a lot of denim companies, a lot of pants in general. And I think we'd put somebody in, if you took in say 5 pair of pants, almost always without fail, they'd come out and be like, God, these fit me really well. I liked how they looked on me. I liked how they felt. Could nail down the sizing, and it was just Orslo. People just really responded very strongly to Orslo, particularly like, again, you can go in and there's always going to be the rigid denim, or you kind of gotta, it's going to be uncomfortable for a little bit here, but Orthlo's whole thing is wash and dry, and just not a lot of fussing around. Everybody felt good in them, so we just sort of leaned into it.
Yeah.
And years down the road, we've now done 4 or 5 collabs, and we restock it as often as they'll allow us. And it's just, I would say, kind of deep in the DNA of Canoe Club at this point would be Orslo.
Definitely we can't not recommend that.
Okay, so I got like kind of a fun question here. I really like. So I want to hear first about a specific product that you had, which was like a totally unexpected success. Something that you brought in, and it's just like you never anticipated it would sell like it did. And then on the opposite side, I want to hear about something that you were convinced would work.
Yeah.
And you bought really heavily, and you were super excited about it, and then it just completely bombed.
Well, I mean, like this is a big one, and it is not going to seem right now to anybody listening if you've gotten into fashion in the last like 10 years. But like when I first brought in Kapital to even the other store I worked at, like it did not do well, and I was really into it. And also the collection was completely different than it is now. It's a whole other thing. And it was still, I hadn't carried it that long at the store I was at. And then I'd mentioned like, I'd really still like to carry Kapital when we open, and everyone was down with it and everything. But like, I was really the one putting up for it at the time.
Yeah.
Because it was like, with everyone liked it, but it's like, it was risky at the time. Like just not only aesthetically, but price wise.
Yeah.
Because fashion wasn't quite what it is, even, 6-7 years later. And like the day we were opening, like we had this like great, like a Cowichan sweater, like and they only made like a handful of them, and it was very expensive. I don't remember what it was, but $4,000 or whatever. We closed up the doors, and it was like the front thing we were opening the next day, and I looked at it and I was like, I am really nervous about Kapital again. Like I'm just like, if I convinced everyone to buy in on it. It's we spent a lot of money. It's expensive stuff. I'm not sure people are going to get it. I mean, and then since it's blown up. So, I mean, to say it's an unexpected success seems insane now, but I can tell you the first day we closed the doors, knowing we were going to open the next day, I was very nervous about that brand, and like not sure people were going to fully get it, especially because we bought it a little bit more avant-garde, especially for the time. The handful of people that bought more like the jeans and like the workwear-y stuff, and not the crazier stuff. And we definitely took a risk on it initially. And I think even for the market, we were pretty risky on it for the US. And I was pretty anxious about it. And then since it's become huge, it's like our number one selling brand. So it's that, I don't want to say completely unexpected, but I was anxious about it.
Maybe for that period of time.
Yeah. I also think like just like little stuff sometimes, like Comme des Garçons perfume. Like I thought, oh, this will be a great addition. People love this, people follow it and everything. And it feels like we can't ever have enough of it. And I guess I wouldn't have ever expected that was going to be something I had to like reorder weekly, but it is. So that's kind of one too.
Do you remember the Levi's vintage clothing collab when they did the Einstein jacket?
Oh yeah,
that was the thing that came to mind first. Was
it was like, and like looks is the most $1,200 leather jacket is the most insane thing. It's a pricey piece, and it was like this collaboration they did, and it was based on this like auction where they got the vintage Levi's leather jacket that he wore, and he wore on the cover of Life and all this stuff. And they're only doing so many, and they were like, you can buy like, I don't remember how many it was, it doesn't matter, it was small. And we're like, okay, well we'll take our full allotment. And we were all like, shit, I don't know, that's a lot of $1,200 jackets. And we sold out in like seconds, and then we got more, and then more, and then more, and then it kept. So that was another one where like it was that was pretty unexpected. I think it was still our biggest single day that we ever had, because we were able to like pre-order some and stuff. So It was huge.
Yeah.
So that's another one. I'm trying to think of brands that like didn't.
There's-
I've made mention to this before, but like I said earlier, like sometimes being like late, I mean early is as bad as being late. And we had Sweet Coke like really early on, and people did not get it. And they was just like everyone asked if it looked
really like chunky, like Japanese.
yeah.
exactly.
Every
yeah.
single person was like, "Oh, it looks like a cast, like when your foot's broke and stuff." I mean, like it just like it was not taking. You know what I mean? And we were like, "It's really cool," but it just wasn't taking. And then we didn't go forward with it. And then years later, everyone's like, "Why are you going to carry Sweet Coke?" And I'm like, "Where were you 5 years ago?" You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, that's one where it's like we thought it was so cool and like nobody really had it, and these, you know, the silhouettes were so interesting, and then people just like weren't ready for it. So, you know, I mean, I think that happens sometimes. I think more often than not, it's really a function of like we thought it was really great. We saw a trend, you know, coming out of Japan or Korea or what, you know, wherever it is, and we think it's cool, and we think we can kind of break it, and then it just wasn't like the right timing, more than like the brand sucked or anything. Sometimes you have like logistical issues too, but that's like its own boring business side of, you know what I mean? Like it's just like the logistics are a nightmare. But like other than that, I think the only two I can
like a super seasonal item, and then it arrives like way too late.
Oh,
You know,
yes. Yes.
Sweater arrives like, you know, like it arrives like November 25th when everybody's already expecting every sweater on earth to be 40% off.
Well, and it's so insane, like the way, I mean, like we should have during COVID pushed everything back by 2 months, because I mean forward 2 months, because it's just a function of like when you're getting like it's not cold enough in November anymore for like down jackets, and like, you know, we're getting them, you get them in like August, and you're like, there's no chance, you know what I mean? Like this is going to be on sale long before it ever gets cold enough to do this. So like, yeah, that's definitely its own.
Yeah, that down jacket.
Yeah.
Like I know from some other friends, I don't carry down jackets anymore because I'm in LA. I don't even have any place to. But definitely when I had stores in New York, I used to carry them, and even back then, before like the, you know, the real calendar started shifting in terms of when it was cold, like it was tough. Like, you know, you would get these like big thick jackets. They would come the third week of August. No one even conceived of buying it until like the third week of October.
Yeah.
And then there's like a 3.5 week period, 3.5 week period where somebody might actually buy it at full price. And then after that, they're like, "Whoa, it's Black Friday next week."
Exactly. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Like the down jacket and the like sweater business can be really difficult that way.
We still do a lot of sweaters because of where we're like, because we can get away with that for a long time. But like the down jacket and stuff, in all honesty, we don't really buy a ton of them, and it's really just because of that. It's like it's just they always kind of end up on sale and stuff because they're tough. You know what I mean? Even when, and it's unfortunate, we pass on like some really great ones sometimes. And you're just like, it's never gonna be the right time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bummer.
That's true. So how about well, maybe let's do something visual since we're gonna have a video podcast here. If anyone is listening on audio, we'll do our best to describe what the garments are, and I'll put in the YouTube notes exactly when this like visual part starts if you want to jump forward to the items that we're describing. So could you show us a couple pieces that you're really excited about right now?
So we just got these in yesterday. They are a monastache, sort of like climbing pants with some cargo situation on the side, but I love green pants. It's kind of like my online identity at this point. I'm wearing all green today. I'm wearing green fatigues.
He's not lying either. I think it's like a thing where people are like, "Oh, I'm like a uniform thing." He is it like he looks like an army man, you know, like a toy army man every day.
I mean, color like olive goes with everybody's skin tone.
Yeah.
It plays with gray and camel and black.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I wear a white t-shirt, green pants, and then like a short coat is usually green on top as well. But these I couldn't not shout out. One, I wanted to note that like, so they're ripstop. But a lot of the times like ripstop, and I'm wearing EG fatigues right now that are ripstop, and they start out pretty, you know, pretty starchy, and the hand is not super soft, and the break-in's weird, and you might get some weird fades and shit right off the bat when you wash. But this is incredibly soft and has a nice like drape to it. But I just know that these are gonna look dope on just about anybody who likes green pants. But yeah, the fit is nice. And more than anything, I'm really into the elastic, leaning into, especially being in Boulder, leaning into like the rock climbing sort of like Gorpy vibe. I still think it's cool. And yeah, these for me personally check all the boxes.
The material is really like the star here. It's like, because it's like heavily washed out to the point where I don't know if you like you know ripstop. It can be like kind of crunchy.
Yeah.
And this is like it feels like, I mean, this will drape nicely, which I think that like you only get after you've worn and washed a pair of like ripstop pants for eons.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they really kind of advance the plot a little bit and make it.
And when it like a little bit faded, like do you see that ripstop pattern more?
100%. Yeah,
Exactly,
it's gonna be hard to see on video, but you can definitely kind of in person you can totally see.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it has its own texture.
Like the cotton fades a little bit, but the nylon and the ripstop
Exactly.
doesn't. More of that kind of like graph pattern coming through.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can kind of visualize more. Yeah, it literally looks great.
Yeah.
In fact, he's wearing a pair of like old ripstop right now, and it looks like those right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't believe like what a moment kind of elastic waistbands are having. I sell them all the time now, and it's like it's cool. It's cool to see them, and just like for pants to be like comfortable and generous.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I've said it 100 times, but I'm so happy we're moving away from the sizing down. I tell everybody in the store, like, if you're not like comfortable in it right off the bat, I don't really recommend playing games, playing this game where, well, if I get this, the waist is going to stretch by this much. Like, just kind of like buy the clothes that you feel good in right off the bat and just like lean into it because
well, I also think that like in that circumstance, then you'll wear them. And if you wear clothes, they look better as you wear them because they like, form to you a little bit. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes like, that's the thing, like, especially initially, I know like the trend has changed a little bit, but like people would be stuffing themselves in things, being like, oh, it'll be better. It's like, no, it's just not. It's not going to look better down the road.
Yeah.
Like you need it. You should feel good, at least pretty good right away.
Yeah. If the worst case scenario is your waist stretches a little bit and you got to wear a belt, then like, so be it. You know what I mean?
That silhouette will be better because of it.
Well, I do think like, especially like in our kind of corner of the world of menswear, it does seem only recently that people have also like gotten into the idea of having like, like denim ripstop canvas that's been washed.
Sure.
It was like such a drive to always get something raw, break it in yourself, beat up yourself, give it your own patina, and then suffer through that process.
Yeah. I wonder when that flipped for me, because I can think back to being in college and getting my first pair of like Naked and Famous raw denim. And I was actually working at like the Levi's outlet for a couple of years. And I just remember being like, God, this jacket's cool, but it's pre-washed, it's pre-faded. Like, that's not authentic to me. I could never wear this jacket that is pre-washed.
I used to like, I would spend all day long trying to convince people of this because I've done a couple different rounds of making my own jeans in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And, the interesting thing, and maybe you guys have seen it, it's like, when I was running a store in Brooklyn, like you would of course have like the denim heads who would realize that a raw pair of jeans is just like, it's straight up uncomfortable.
Of course.
It doesn't fit well, it's boxy, it doesn't drape, but that's what they want. But I would say, that was maybe 30% of the clients. The other 70% tried these jeans on and be like, what the hell's wrong with them? And then especially if they came like a wife or a girlfriend who was just like, those look horrible on you.
Yeah.
So I started to like kind of get into the process of like taking the jeans that we would get delivered and rinsing them once. And then I would spend like 45 minutes trying to convince somebody. I'm like, don't worry, like it's still going to fade.
Yeah.
Yes.
The fact that we rinse this one time does not mean that it will never fade. And you've lost all opportunities.
Yeah.
Rest of eternity.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Here we go.
Here's number 2.
Even though I already said Ursula, we're going to show it this one. So this is a new piece for them. It's like, it's kind of this, like, I don't know if I'm in it where I'm at, but it's like this unstructured blazer. I think it's got like, it's like a cotton linen blend. It almost feels kind of like really washed out nylon though. So it has no structure at all. It's really great, and I really love like unstructured blazers, and especially in the summer because it's like an easy way to dress stuff up, so get pockets without feeling like weighted down. So this is kind of perfect because it doesn't have the texture and stuff of linen, so in that way it's not going to get as wrinkly too, which will be nice. It's kind of this like faded black, almost navy-ish color, so it's going to go with everything. I really love it. They've done pieces like this in the past, and I think sometimes they've been a little too boxy, and then sometimes they've been a little too tailored. This one's like spot on. So I really love this for the summer. Like I said, it's really like the fading is good. There's going to be good on it. Like it'll wear in nicely, take sun nicely. And again, it's just no structure. Anybody could wear this. You could wear it oversized. You could wear it right on. It's going to be great. We just sold one in the store, and this guy was like dressing it up more, and it looked fantastic. But I think that like it's not how I'd wear it. I just do it with like a beat up t-shirt.
Yeah.
And what's the title of that garment if somebody was going to look for it after?
Do you know off the top of your head?
I will
should
check real
know.
fast. I
Here,
want to say
let
it's
him
the
check.
tailored work jacket.
That's what I was gonna say. I thought it was called work jacket
Yeah,
too.
that's what we do. When we post this to YouTube, you guys can send me the links too.
We'll get you the
Cool.
we'll get you everything.
So if anyone's
Okay.
watching, interested in one of these garments,
If you
that.
go on the site, you'll see it. You'll see. You
Yeah.
go to shopcanoeclub.com. You go to Orslo. It's there. It's up at the top. What is it called?
Okay.
It's the light, simple work jacket.
Simple work jacket. There we go. See,
Simple
if they
work
put all
jacket.
these generic words on it, it's hard to remember all. Okay. And this is the last one. This is we don't have a ton of these left, but this is the exclusive for us from Lady White. We always do an exclusive with them.
Right.
This one is so a long time ago I did a shirt with them called the Grindle wash shirt, and it was basically I wanted them to reproduce this like beat up band tee I had, and you know, because I wanted it to look like that washed black, which I never thought was quite right, because what I wanted it to do was sometimes you get that like grayscale color they give you, which is fine, but it doesn't continue to age. You know what I mean? And I wanted one that like as you wore it, it would continue to kind of like keep fading out and be real natural looking. So they made that. It's been one of our best selling colors ever since. They sell it themselves. They sell it at other stores. This in particular, I wanted, so my original one looked like this because I had the sample and I wore it for, I don't know, 7-8 years off and on. It had little holes in it and shit, but it like, you know, it looked like this. And so I said, I wanted to do it like that. I wanted it to look like it does after you've had that shirt for like 4+ years of wash and wear. So this is now like the used Grindle wash. It's this great, like, I think black does this interesting thing in sun and bleach and washing and stuff over time where it almost gets like a lavendery color to it.
Yeah.
And that's what I really wanted to happen. And luckily, like you can even see on like the label there, it gets that almost like pinkish color even there. And it's like they really nailed it. It looks almost identical to the vintage one I have. It's great. This one will continue to keep fading out too because it's still garment washed. So I mean, it's like, I mean, garment dyed. It really turned out perfect, and it's been a really big seller. So like I said, we're kind of low on them, and I don't know when we'll restock because it takes a bit of time because it's a very manual process to do. But it turned out great. It's one of my favorites we've had in a long time.
Very cool. That's awesome. And that's called the used Grindle wash tee.
Yeah, exactly.
From Lady White.
So named after old Timbo over here.
Yeah.
Very cool. Great. Okay. So I think this is the last question I have.
Cool.
Fashion can be a crazy and sometimes very stressful business. What are some rewarding elements that keep both of you guys in the game?
I know my answer, and I'm gonna reckon I know his too, and it's the constant problem solving. It's we're a super small team. We've always hovered around like 6 or 7 employees. Right now there's,
I think we're up to maybe almost 10, but
yeah,
like
maybe.
it's small by design where everyone's a Swiss Army knife. We want it that way on purpose because I think that's like what he's saying, like from the problem solving perspective, like it's good when we're very tight. Everyone knows each other well. We treat each other like family, which is always a double-edged sword, but we'll take it. And we're just, we really like problem solving,
you know, creating processes, being like, shit, we have this much space to work with. I know because I'm writing the orders right now. We've got 15-20 boxes of merchandise totaling over, you know, a couple 100 pounds in the next 10 days coming in. We've got to make this room. We got to make some sales. We got to figure out how we're going to logistically do all this. And I think that carries over from like shipping, receiving to getting creative right, getting models in, figuring out the buys, merchandising at the store. It's just the constant problem solving that never goes away.
Yeah.
We're never just like, all right, we're good.
It's not like an Ayn Rand thing, but it's like a little bit of the reward for work is more work. And I like the work a lot. Like this doesn't feel like work. We both I like coming here. I mean, even on days when it's a nightmare, it's still like, I like doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's fun. So I think that like, that's kind of what like the reward. I like the work, you know? And so every time that we do something well, we get to do more and we get to do cooler and cooler stuff. And I feel like if we had endless time, endless money, endless everything, like I don't think we'd ever get to everything we wanted to do still. Like we still have like these I feel like we're always like 5 years ahead of what we want to be doing, and we just keep pushing and doing more stuff. So you know, the reward is that if people seem to dig it, which is awesome, you know what I mean? And like, but it's heads down work. We're just trying to like keep doing what we want to do, and hopefully people respond. And and then I think that like additionally, the community is a huge thing for us. I mean, it's really cool. Like the way we've designed, like, Styleforum, Discord, all these different places where we, exist and get to connect with community. And in the store too, it's really cool to see the mass amount of different people with different style from different backgrounds and different lifestyle, all this thing, all kind of being in one place and existing with each other and having this like same interest and being really supportive of each other and everything. Like I said, it really feels like that DIY scene we came from. So I think we've, in that way, that's been really rewarding to see, like, oh, cool, this idea that we had, this like concept that we had, we were able to sort of execute in a way where it does feel like we wanted it to feel. So
yeah,
that's rewarding every day.
And with it being such a small team, it's like, we're here because of our efforts. It's not, there was no magic trick or some loophole we found. It's really just been us trying to figure it out I've been here for 5.5 years. The store's been open for 6 years and 2 months or something. So it just feels rewarding. It's our efforts coming to fruition.
We've done things our way the whole time. So it's like, even through like COVID and like we did what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it, and we're able to control everything, the way we had it in our heads. So it's been cool. We're super, like, because it's a small team also, like we get to pivot at any point, and we like that. I think a lot of like places will get sort of like stuck in their ways, or like, well, I do things a certain way. It's like, no, you don't, until there's some problem and you need to change it. You know what I mean? And so like, it's very exciting that we come in here and there's new problems and there's changes that are going to happen and new things that are going to take place, and, and new challenges. And it's just, it's fun. It keeps you on your toes. It's never boring. I'm never bored at work. I don't remember the last time I felt caught up. Like, it's just, it's fun. And we get to do it with, like, everyone here is, like I said, everyone's friends.
Yeah.
So like, and family. So it's like, it feels like you get to come hang out with all the people you'd hang out with anyway, and then we get to do the things we want to do. So as long as people keep being supportive and keep digging what we're doing, then we get to just keep making it better and better and better. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, this is great.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for having us. This has been a hoot.
Thank you guys so much for your time. It was like a pleasure meeting you. It was great talking with you. And
likewise.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see, all the new projects and all the new things that you have coming down the road.
Yeah, thank you. We'll keep you plugged.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.
Peace.
See ya.